far as our show goes, one of the big events that we are going to be building up to throughout the year is that in October, at the end of October, because in the UK, because he's our national treasure, we get Bond first. So when Spectre is released on opening day in the UK, myself, Jamie here, and our good friend, producer, special features maestro, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, filmmaker himself, who accompanied me to see Skyfall in London when it opened. We will be reuniting. Jamie will be coming to the UK for the first time to see Spectre. Now, as far as the event goes itself, and we will be filming it in London, and we will even be broadcasting from one of the swankiest London hotels, folks, that I've booked myself into at great cost, but it's simply to give you guys the quality that you deserve. If you're going to make a movie about the return of Bond's greatest villains, you do it in a Bond villain lair. And the hotel that I picked, I think it's called the Shard in London. This is a Bond villain lair, trust me. If I was Ethan Hunt, I wouldn't even go through the lobby. I'd climb up the damn thing. But I'm not going to do that. But even though we're so super excited about the special event, it is tinged with apprehension, folks, because I have this sinking feeling that Spectre is going to suck and blow. And I'd like to take you through, first of all, before we debate it, my emotional journey with Bond 24 so far. Now, it goes back to before we even knew a thing about the movie. I was simply dealing, as a Bond geek does, in statistics and numbers. And I have this theory that basically the Bond series, as far as the outings and the number of outings that an actor does, there's a certain symmetry to it. So the first movie will be a really solid movie that defines Bond. There's a slight flaw to that theory, because certainly Dr. No defines Connery. Not sure you can say Live and Let Die defines Roger Moore. Certainly Living Daylights defines Dalton, and certainly Casino Royale defines Daniel Craig. There's this theory that the third film is really what's known as the blockbuster Bond. That's the one that really hits success. That's the breakout. That's the one that defines that actor's run. So Connery has Goldfinger, Moore has The Spy Who Loved Me. Poor old Dalton never got to make his third, and I guess that you really can't say that The World Is Not Enough defines Brosnan, so there's a flaw in that theory.
Like The World Is Not Enough.
Hey, we all like it, you just can't say it defines that actor's run of the series. But certainly, no doubt in it, folks, Skyfall was a bloody phenomenon, and it certainly defined the Craig run, and probably will, no matter what's to come in the future. So, now things get a little bit scary, because we're dealing with the fourth outing. Connery's fourth outing was Thunderball, a cold, soulless, mechanical piece of work that I've never been very fond of. Moore's fourth outing was Moonraker. Brosnan's fourth outing was Die Another Day. And now we have Craig's fourth outing as Spectre. So I think the symmetry that we're talking about with the fourth outing is basically loud, overblown, entirely too much money spent on it, and in worst case scenario like Moonraker, camp to the point of mocking the source material. Now, I'm not saying that Spectre's going to be a Moonraker, but certainly as far as the symmetry goes in my geeky head, that was the first warning light. And then, funny thing happened, folks. Sam Mendes was announced that he was going to be reprising his role as the director. A lot of people were saying, fantastic, awesome, I love Skyfall. Jamie will back me up. My response was, oh no, no. Bring him back at some point, but don't bring him back right away. The simple reason, folks, is that I don't want the same director coming back after such a transcendent, inexplainable success in Skyfall and trying to repeat and recapture lightning in a bottle. Lewis Gilbert directed The Spy Who Loved Me, a huge, gigantic hit beyond anyone's expectations, and if there was ever a Bond film that wanted to capture lightning in a bottle again, it was the next film, Moonraker, which Lewis Gilbert also directed. I don't want Sam Mendes to make Moonraker. It seems crazy, but in that way of trying to just basically repeat what happened in Skyfall. It could happen.
I don't know, man. Skyfall was just, it was such a big hit. It was so unexpected. It took off so much. It's so well. The realist in me has to say, well, there's nowhere else to go. I mean,
I've always accepted that in terms of quality. I'd just be happy with a good film. I'm just worried that when we're in the position that we are now in, that we are going to be a movie that is basically chasing the success of the previous one and trying to do every little beat that was in Skyfall because you know those work. That's what my main concern is. And yet, folks, I mean, if you watched me on Twitter, when the press conference happened and the title of Spectre was announced and they announced the cast and friggin' Monica Bellucci showing up in the cast, I went crazy. I went absolutely apeshit excited. And why? Because, for many people, including myself, when you say that title, you immediately conjure images in your head of huge layers of Bond being backed by a good guy army facing a huge army of guys in boiler suits. And yes, you think about the ludicrousness of it and the fact that they've been so scared of that image for so long that they haven't been willing to go there. And yet I felt that if they're bringing back all those classic elements that they haven't done for a while and now seem fresh again, then that is the last untamed frontier that they have to go for. In this day and age, Bond has to, and always has, competed against all the other spectacles out there. But why haven't they been able to go back to the big spectacle of not just having Bond by himself win the day, but having backed up by an army, have a huge climax in a huge set? So when I heard the title of Spectre, I thought, and especially when we heard about how high the budget was, my first thought was like anyone else. It was just like, well, yeah, I'm kind of excited it's costing the Earth, because I assume that's what they're doing. And then, over the last couple of weeks, I've just kind of come back down to earth on it, and I've just thought, no, I don't think they're doing that. I don't think they have the courage to do that. I still think they're afraid of the Austin Powers shadow, which seems ridiculous, but I feel like that's the position that we're in.
Which is ridiculous, because that fad has come and gone.
Absolutely. I just find that, obviously, I know this is going to be a modern interpretation of Spectre, which is absolutely fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. But don't be afraid of the largeness of it. I thought about it and I just thought, well, they're not going to have some really, really delicious plot about either, dominating the world or blowing up a part of it, or a plot which has truly imaginative, exciting global implications. No, it's going to be some really, really complicated but grounded and realistic and not very much fun plot. Are we going to have, really, really inventive new action sequences? No. Is it exciting he's going back to the Alps? Yes. But is the skiing sequence going to be really, really exciting or different? No, I don't think so. Are we going to have new, fresh ideas? No, we're probably going to have a sequence on, well, they've already mentioned it in the emails that we've seen. There's going to be another sequence on a train. I would not be at all surprised if there's another attack on MI6, whether it's viral or bombs, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go back to London for more action. I wouldn't be surprised if the final climax is just Bond in Christoph Waltz's mansion, and it's very intimate in a lot of ways. I wouldn't be surprised.
We all make Home Alone jokes.
Exactly. I'm just...
Chip said that. We were watching it at midnight. Chip's like, it's Home Alone! He just started...
Everybody says that, but that's fine.
He loved it. I mean, he thinks it's the best one, but he was just like, holy shit, they took from Home Alone!
Yes! And those are my concerns, folks. I hope I've articulated it well, but I just feel like at every point in this movie where we could take it in a fresh and exciting or 60s throwback way, I feel like we're simply just going to go back to the tropes of Skyfall and hopefully dressed up in a way that it doesn't feel like they're literally copying Skyfall, but that's what they're going to do.
Well, Phil, on the 60s, 70s thing, before Matt comes in, I think we're going to get that with the Kingsman, probably. That's probably going to be the closest we're going to get this year to that kind of movie.
No, of course.
as much as like I think Kingsman doesn't look that interesting, but then I remember like all Matthew Vaughn movies are never sold well. So we'll have that. But in terms of Bond himself, no, they'll never go back to that because they're always moving onward and upward.
Matt.
Phil, I think I'm gonna give you a heart attack. Okay, so I am privy to a number of scripts for Spectre. Don't worry, to the people listening, I'm not going to pull a Terminator and spoil everything. But I will say, the two films that come to mind when I think of Spectre are both Thunderball and Quantum of Solace. And with your complaints, the third act takes place intimately in the burned-out MI6 building from Skyfall.
Oh, for fuck's sake, no!
But at the same point, M and Moneypenny show up with an army as well. So it's not just Bond at a certain point. You know, it's a good script. It reminds me of Quantum of Solace in the sense that Skyfall was so successful and they're clearly trying to recapture that. But I guess the question is, was Quantum of Solace unsuccessful because it was trying to mimic Casino Royale, or was it unsuccessful because it was a strike movie and they were rushing it so much and they really didn't have much of a script?
The latter.
While Spectre is clearly trying to kind of build off of Skyfall's success, there is a script here. Craig has the most material he's had since Casino Royale. More importantly, I know Craig is signed for one more film, and this is not me being privy to anything in particular, but this feels like the last Craig film. It feels like for the first time, as Bond goes, we are wrapping up an actor's era. So it ties back heavily to Casino Royale. In the same way that Thunderball went back to the overarching plot after Goldfinger was roughly standalone, this does the same thing. We find out, of course, that Silva was somehow involved with Spectre to tie it all together. You know, there aren't any particularly standout action sequences. There's a really cool fight on a train, which is clearly invoking From Russia with Love. The main Bond girl in it, Madeline, they're trying to make her so Vesper-like that she has literally the same intro to Bond in the sense that they're sitting in a train and she breaks him down psychologically in the exact same way Vesper did. Which, again, it's intentional. They're doing this on purpose to tie it around. But I do feel like there is going to be a sense of deja vu watching it. It also makes the issue, you know how people complained in Skyfall that it took Javier Bardem quite a while to enter the movie? In the final draft of the script before shooting, as I recall, Walt's character, outside of one sneaky Spectre meeting that Bond infiltrates where he's in the shadows, Walt doesn't show up until page 97 of like 120. So there's no real overarching threat. I mean, your main concern is that there's a character named C, who's being played by Andrew Scott from Sherlock, who is trying to close down MI6 and to basically merge every worldwide intelligence organization into one kind of global network where they could spy on everything. And of course, this somehow has, interest to Spectre. The film could benefit from a more present villain. Walt has an amazing monologue he's just going to kill, where basically, in terms of going back to the beginning, he's basically introduced to Bond really playing a poker game for Madeline's life. And, they do the thing where Walt gets to talk and talk and talk, and he's going to kill it. But there isn't a real threat. You have a cool henchman, but you certainly don't have Le Chiffre's not a great villain, but you don't have a Silva, you don't have a Goldfinger, you don't even have kind of the classic Blofeld who dominates the movie. It's very much about Craig's Bond, and on that level it's a success, but I do feel the script is a little bit slight at the moment. I think people will like it more than Quantum of Solace, but I don't think they'll like it as much as Casino Royale and Skyfall.
I'd like to pick up a point that Jamie was mentioning before with Kingsman, the Secret Service. You're right, I'd forgotten about that. I guess as far as, the need that I need to fulfill by having, a villain who wants to, cause some real imaginative world-blowing up shit, and having a big army of people fight him in a big lair, and just have the fun of it, that we have to look to the homage, the love letter, to actually give us those things. But that just seems wrong to me. It just seems wrong that why can the love letter do it, but the inspiration can't? I'm still trying to figure this out. That we can't.
Because the
how
broccoli's
many of the Bond infiltrating the lair movies were actually any good? Like, how many movies with Blofeld having a giant lair were actually good movies?
Well, I mean, when I say that, though, I'm not...
Flip twice, that's about it.
I am counting something like On Her Majesty's Secret Service as well. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, we think about it as the real one, the one where the guy grows a heart and falls in love. But it is also this delicious plot about Blofeld trying to destroy the world with 12 beautiful women, and at the end of it all boils down to Bond being backed up by an army of really cool Italian gangsters to defeat Blofeld in his wonderful icy mountain peak. That's the kind of thing, and that's why I think that's when they announced that Bond was going to the Alps. I think again, all us fans immediately thought of that and thought, oh, "Is that where it's going to end? It's going to end in the Alps. Blofeld's going to have an icy lair again. Oh man, it's going to be amazing." And
Well, we think about Spy Who Loved Me also, the opening. I mean, like,
Well,
it's that amazing stunt. That's
I will say Blofeld does have a lair. It's just not like a volcano.
No, well, that's fine. I'm not
Well, we
expecting
know
a volcano, of course. No,
But I will say this film certainly has On Her Majesty's Secret Service on its mind. Without going more in depth to it, yes.
I know a little more than I'm letting on to, and I'm just laughing at Matt's comment. Matt, that's going to piss people off. You know it's going to. What's annoying me so far is that Craig has not had a physical villain yet. Because when they announced Javier Bardem for Skyfall,
he'll get that with Dave Bautista's character Hinks. Yeah.
Well, I meant like a main villain, but yeah, that's fine. I want someone who Bond could fight. I like the idea of like having an adversary who Bond could fucking fight himself. And but yeah, actually, that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most of this movie is that guy, because it is fun that we're getting a henchman again. Although we've had henchmen in we got henchmen in Quantum of Solace and in Royale. The
henchman in Quantum of Solace was like a skinny dude with a bowl cut.
Elvis, yes, that's right. But also, I mean, on that point, if I may bring you up on that point, Jamie, because we talked about our concerns with that too, because, look, I don't know if it was officially said by the filmmakers or it was just something that was, hyped up in the press, but the idea of treating Mr. Hinks, as he's called, as what they're hoping will be the next iconic Bond henchman, you don't plan that, you don't aim for that. If it happens by accident. It happens because we, the public, decide. You don't try. When you try, it doesn't work. You tried that with Zhao. I was going to call him Diamond Face, but they were hyping him up to be that. Didn't work. What was the one before that they were trying? I don't know, but it doesn't work.
I think Hinks works. Hinks is a cool character in the script. I don't know if he'll be iconic, but he's a good bad guy.
I don't know about iconic, but I mean, he's one I'm looking forward to the most.
He's a dude who takes people and jams his thumbs down their eyes. All right, at least he has a classic kind of iconic kill thing.
Oh, kind of a Game of Thrones way.
A little, yeah. He grabs them, jams his thumbs down their eyes, and kills people that way.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Well, can I ask you another question, which I'm sure is on other people's minds, Matt? Reading it, do you see why it seems to be costing the Earth?
Well, I mean, it's certainly very globetrotting. It's big. It doesn't read terribly bigger than Skyfall. Again, I don't make movie budgets. It could just be like a filming schedule thing. But it feels about as big as Skyfall did. It doesn't feel any smaller than that. The climax is bigger than Skyfall's. Yeah, I mean, you can tell the cost cutting, a lot of it is set in London, which I assume saves them money. But again, it's the tying Craig's era together. I mean, there is a bit where Craig has to assassinate someone that is played almost exactly the same as the Dryden scene at the beginning of Casino Royale. So it makes sense that it would be in a familiar location for Craig with the MI6 and all that. So, I mean, even the whole plot is kicked off, and again, this is very early, and it'll be in the trailer, so I don't think it's spoiler. The whole plot is kicked off with Bond getting a tape from Judi Dench's M. So, it all goes in a circle. It's supposed to.
I imagine a scene where at the end of the tape, it just goes to, the tape that she taped over, and it's her and her husband having sex.
While they're reading poetry, because that was her husband's thing.
Exactly, yes. Tennyson, yes.
At the courthouse.
That was actually something I liked about Skyfall, actually. There was the whole passage of time. They acknowledged it, and even because that little moment in I remember Phil and I talked about that little moment in Royale where they wake her up in bed, she turns over and like hits the button and that thing turns up, and there's they don't say who it is, but it's clear her husband.
And he
I like
talks to her in Quantum of Solace. Like, he's off screen, but he says something to her about getting a phone call.
I don't remember that.
Well, yeah, because she's getting ready for a bath.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that. But the fact that, like, she has a personal life. Like, these are real people. I like little shit like that. Like, what is she like in real life? Just, that was what I really liked about. And then realized, like, oh wait, her husband's dead.
Yeah, just that time had passed between. It was a nice.
So much time had passed, and I like stuff like that. And that's actually another problem I've had, and Phil and I have also discussed this. I talk a lot, kids. Is the fact that the last movie was about acknowledging not just Bond, but everybody, including M's, mortality and age. I mean, there's even that great line in the trailer, which is a great line in the movie, where Ray Fiennes says, why didn't you stay dead? There's nothing wrong with admitting that you're not as fast as you used to be. Nobody gets an out like you had. Why don't you just stay out? It would have been perfect for you, dude. And he's not as fast. And the movie, I like the fact that he still trudges on, but is he suddenly going to be Superman again? It's like we just is the attitude like, oh well, we acknowledge that, so we're just going to go back to doing a usual Bond movie again. That's something I've been concerned about.
A trouble with that is repetition, where Skyfall was doing the big, are we outdated? M was vigorously, defending MI6 and its need in the world. But then this movie is kind of doing the same MI6 under attack thing politically, where it's like, oh no, C wants to merge us all and they're going to close the double O's. And are we really needed in the world again? And it's like, I swear we just did this in the last movie.
So my concerns are legitimate. I don't feel bad at all, Matt. I feel very, very vindicated about this.
The script works. Again, it works by giving Craig his best material since Casino Royale. It works for kind of wrapping up his era in that sense. It works. Madeline, she's not Vesper or, Tracy level, but Madeline's a good Bond girl. It works because Craig's Bond accepts who he is. There's a point in this script where Madeline basically gives him the Katie Holmes Batman Begins, I can't be with you if this is your life. Like, you don't have to do this. And he goes, I know, but I'm making that choice anyway. Bond accepts who he is, which I like as a character. They're giving Craig good material, and I think that will play out well on screen. While we're here, Phil, can I tell you some of the earlier ideas for just to put them out there for the listeners? I'm
just going to put some scotch in this Mountain Dew, and then I'll brace myself for it. Yeah.
Swig it up.
So when this movie goes out, the credits are going to read written by John Logan and Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. John Logan will have very little to nothing to do with the final script. Logan was fired from Spectre, and I found out a little bit about his drafts. For one, remember all the rumors about Chiwetel Ejiofor being in Bond 24?
Mm-hmm.
That was because Blofeld was going to be an African warlord that Bond tracked down. Also, we were going to find out that there was a traitor inside MI6, and that traitor was M, who Bond would have to kill. So Ray Fiennes flat out refused to do it. He said, I'm tired of playing villains. No, I will not do that. So Logan took another crack at it, and Tanner became the traitor. I don't know if anyone out there actually remembers who Tanner is, but yes, Tanner is the traitor.
Rory Kinnear, yes, he's the guy who's becoming the regular friendly face of the series now. I always love to see.
He's the close enough one that I thought he was Villers from Casino Royale, and I got confused because they're pretty much exactly the same character with a different name and different actor. But originally it was Tanner, who Bond confronted, and then Tanner blew his brains out. And then everyone went, no, that sucks, and Logan got fired. And that's when they brought Purvis and Wade in.
Wow.
More you know.
And that's why one of the reasons Spectre has taken so long to come out after Skyfall was a huge hit. They gave everything to Logan, and nobody liked what he did with it. Kind of like Paul Haggis with Quantum of Solace, if you think about it.
Can I also ask, Matt, because the very first rumours we heard about the project was that John wanted to do it as two movies, like a big two-part epic. So did he actually get the chance to write that?
Not to my knowledge, no. As far as I know, he just concentrated on Bond 24, and I have not actually read his version. This is just stuff that I've heard from people who are privy to it. But my impression was it ended on a major cliffhanger, and that would have gone directly into Bond 25.
Right.
Whereas now that doesn't seem to be the case in the current script.
Well, to end the point here, I mean, I'm certainly going to stay with my reservations about it, and I only say that because obviously at this point, folks, having, seen 50 years worth of Bond movies, both the official ones and the unofficial ones, that I do have a different yardstick to judge Bond by than I do other things, and I am a little bit harsher, but it's only coming from a place of love. But what I would say, for some of you out there who are less beholden to it than me, is that there is some comfort to be had. The real genius of the Bond series is this, that if you're not concerned about the continuity, then you can basically watch a James Bond film at any point in the series history, no matter what year it was made, and basically treat that film as something wildly entertaining that has really imaginative sequences, and you don't see the references, you don't see, the movies before that, which is constantly just making a different version of a scene or an action sequence or a stunt or whatever it is. For example, I'm embarrassed to say this, folks, but I don't care. I'm going to tell you, folks. I saw A View to a Kill before I saw Goldfinger. Now, A View to a Kill is a complete rip-off of everything that's in Goldfinger, but because I was a kid watching one of my very first James Bond films, to me, it was just A View to a Kill. It was awesome. It had awesome villains. It had an awesome climax. It had a really interesting plot. Jamie's cracking himself up just listening to me spew this diatribe, but it's true.
It's context. We were younger. We didn't know any better.
And then...
I completely agree, yeah.
And the genius of it is even afterwards, and you see Goldfinger and you know that it's a rip-off, it doesn't matter because you always had that first impression made by the film that came later. So I'm sure there's plenty of, kids out there who just now are getting into Bond, or maybe Spectre will be their first film. Whatever my issues are about repeating past glories, it's not going to bother them. And it's probably not going to bother most of the audience if it's a good film like Matt says it has every chance of becoming, then I guess the formula still holds true. So I feel better. I'm glad we hashed this out. We've arrived at the conclusion that I was hoping that we would. Now, folks, I think that that discussion did run a little bit over, so I think we will call it a night there on Classic Movie Mo. So I would like, Matt, thank you so much for at least letting me sleep for the next couple of months while I wait for this movie.
Hibernate.
Don't worry, Phil, I promise. At the very worst, it will be at least slightly better than Die Another Day.
Thanks very much, bitch. All right, and Jamie, I hope are you feeling better about Spectre 2?